Welcome back, friends, to the penultimate chapter of our journey with the Zenith Guard on unfair difficulty. Showing the state of my mechs here, we've got a unupgraded charge mech, the area upgrade on the defense mech, and then most of the other cores sunk into the laser mech, with big damage and a fully upgraded ice generator. Our final island is Pinnacle, with tumblebugs. And due to the map layout, I will have to do the Shielded Vaults mission. I have no choice, so I might as well rip that band-aid off right now. It is the Defend the Robots mission, which can be tricky. It really kind of depends on the map seed. This one did not seem too terrible to me, especially because I've got a big, scary ice generator. And I should be able to freeze just about everything that's important right off the bat. Also, we have the Hornet Leader in the Op4, which is one of the easiest Vec to bait. If you line your mechs in a row of 3, the Hornet Leader will be almost unable to resist the temptation. And then all you have to do is move out of the way, and you have that thing negated, at least on the first round. But we've got other problems. We've got blobbers, plasmodia, the tumblebugs being irritating, and the robot factories are spitting out additional weak foes for us to deal with. So I consider my options, and considering we have 4 threats to the grid and only 3 mech actions, we have to be efficient here. And the most efficient single action I have, of course, is the ice generator. You've seen its power on the previous episode, and I will be using it a lot. You can see here I am completely negating all of the enemy's actions. I took the time to shield Harold and Henry, because when shielded, you do not freeze. So only Rosie winds up getting frozen. And my other 2 mechs will still be able to act unimpeded on the next turn, which will functionally be a 1v2. We've got a single bouncer. We've got to get Rosie unfrozen. And I think what I elect to do is, if I ram the bouncer with the charge mech, I will break the plasmodia out of the ice, and then the bouncer will get some serious damage on the plasmodia for us, and it will kill itself with its own recoil. And we'll get a spawn block. It's just a big, delicious holiday treat. So we will be in real good shape for the next turn. It will still be it'll be a 1v3 now. You'd love to see it. We can get Herald blocking a spawn, and we can push the Plasmodia to block the other spawn, and it will perish. And we will have a extremely clean, no threats on the board final turn. Oh, I guess there's that robot, but Rosie can pull it into herself. A little bit of self-damage. So that was a pretty painless mission. As you can see, the ice generator can really trivialize certain missions. But, as I also showcased in the last video, you can't just entirely shut your brain off, or you will be paying a certain amount of hubris. And we do not escape said hubris in this video, or in my life. The hubris will manifest in the frozen plains, because that mission, I can see, has the Ice Storm modifier. That is usually a very player-sided weather effect. It freezes a 9 square, 9 tile area. And I also have the ice generator, so I was feeling pretty cocksure. But I get the bamboozle here. I really do not pay enough attention to the Op4 and their mobility. Those Hornets, they're going to be trouble. We've got these 2 clusters of 4 grid tiles. So the Hornets will almost assuredly be attacking 2 tiles with each of their actions. The Plasmodia really throws me a nasty haymaker here, as its little Greeble, its little minion, is way on the, other side of the map from the rest of the action. So I am weighing my options. We've got a big laser attack we could do. It does not kill the Tumblebug, so the Tumblebug will still be doing a single point of damage. In retrospect, I could have used the ice generator on this turn, and it probably would have gone better for me. I can use the defense mech to pull the Hornet into the ice, or I could have used the defense mech to shield the power plant, the grid that's being targeted by the Plasmodia projectile, and the unstable boulder. I would have, of course, been shielding the Plasmodia leader as well. What I'm trying to say is I think there were some cleaner solutions to this turn. I elected to save the Ice Gen for later, and I think I will regret that decision. I was choosing, I was going for kills over defending the grid. A bit of a pricey decision. We're going to lose 2 grid health, but we have killed, the Bouncer, the Tumblebug, and the Plasmodia leader. So now we just have a single Tumblebug to worry about. But our grid is looking a little bit dicey once more. Granted, we're going to get 2 of that grid health back for this mission, and perhaps that was why I was a little bit, cavalier, let's say, about giving up those 2 grid buildings. I did not want to get out of position. So now I use the ice generator, so we don't have to worry about the Tumblebug anymore, and we've got most of the spawns blocked. So that will leave us with a pretty comfortable 1v3 on our penultimate turn. And it's just an Alpha Leaper. It's just a silly little guy. Rosie gets an interesting opportunity to get a kill. So we take that. Give her some XP. And we will continue to block spawns such that we still have a 1v3 on the final turn. So a little bit sloppy, we gave up 2 grid health in the name of mass Vec murder. But, if you've been watching this particular part of the series, you will know that we abandoned any aspirations of a 40k long ago. So that's 2 missions done. We are halfway finished before the final boss fight. And we get Adam with thick skin. In retrospect, I should have put Adam in the defense mech, with the hope that he would just get the 2 XP he needs to level up. And then, there's a chance maybe he rolls popular hero, and then I could have sold him for really nice returns. But instead I keep Rosie, and it's fine. I just think it maybe could have been a little bit more optimal. Next, I like to do the Defend the Robots mission. Because we have the ice generator, we're at something of an advantage here. In general, if you have a method of freezing, you have a nice advantage on certain mission types on Pinnacle. This is one of them. Freezing the little, mine layer robots protects them and prevents them from moving around into inconvenient places on the board. You're also at an advantage if you have the freeze and defend both robots mission, where you get the freeze tank, because it kind of, you're not just reliant on the freeze tank. It can free up some actions. We've got a Tumblebug leader, a Tumblebug, a Bouncer, and a Hornet. Since it's the fourth island, they are all going to be alphas forever. And we have the Regen Scion, which has largely been a non-factor so far. We are either not doing any damage at all by freezing, or we are doing a lot of big burst damage. And the Regen Scion does not have time to repair its friends. So I see I can solve most of the problems I have with the ice generator now. The only thing we have to account for is the Plasmodia projectile. I like to have Rosie deploy some shields, both to get some extra defense on the grid and to prevent Henry from freezing himself. Sadly, Harold will wind up being frozen because I am using up the shield on the attack. But I deemed that acceptable, as the next turn will be functionally a 1v2. And with so many frozen things on the board, the AI typically starts to poop its pants, so to speak. It'll want to try to free frozen Vec, it'll want to attack frozen grid tiles. Basically, when you get this many things frozen, this is part of why the ice generator is so strong, is not only does it stop enemy actions and provide defense for the grid, but it also wastes future enemy actions often, in the sort of general confusion that spreads. So yeah, this is a little bit of a kind of twiddling my thumbs sort of turn. The robot is unfrozen, but that's okay. But now we're back to basically a 3v3. It's a fresh Bouncer and Hornet. But as I said before, the enemy is sort of overwhelmed with its frozen options. I would really like to just kill the Plasmodia, then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Hooray. And then I will cause some Bouncer friendly fire, at the cost of a little bit of health. I could have just had Harold use his self-repair push, but that would have done bump damage to the Regen Scion and taken away Henry's shield. I guess I thought that was a more valuable thing to maintain. And then we used the shield generator to double shield, functionally, the Unstable Boulder and the Tumblebug leader. Now the shield will go away rather than the ice, and we will still not have to worry about them. And then on our final turn, we just have a functional 2v3. And things are nice and clean. Simple and clean is the way the Zenith Guard has me feeling tonight. It's hard to let it go. Here I am not remembering that I can't fire the laser through mountains. Whoops. And then I think I could have just positioned the laser mech, south of that Bouncer and killed them both, but I used a temporal reset for some reason. I don't know why. I guess I wanted to kill that Scion? But we have options to defend our precious little robot cryomine buddy. So mission accomplished. We are still well on track for our perfect island reward. It's interesting, despite having a higher score with the Riftwalkers and the Rusting Hulks than I will end up with this run, both the Riftwalkers and the Rusting Hulks did not get all 4 perfect island rewards. I see the Destroy the Shield Generator mission, and I really don't like that one. I also see one of my other options is kill 7 enemies and break 5 buildings out of the ice. Normally that's not too bad. Breaking 5 buildings out of the ice is not a big deal, but my main concern was being able to kill 7 enemies. So instead I take thermal dampeners. This is the safer pick. Both because we've got shielded buildings, and because this particular mission type, they will not spawn in any new enemies. We just get to see everything that we will ever see, and 2 break out of the ice at a time. So as long as you can kind of keep up the tempo, you will always be at a action advantage on this type of mission. It's definitely one of the more player-sided ones. So we've got our first free enemies, the Alpha Leaper and a laser robot. And we have to also get the mites knocked off of our mechs. I will do a pretty decent amount of damage to Harold here. But I will also free him and remove his mite infestation. And then it seems a little costly, because then I have Harold destroy the robot. But my reasoning for doing that was so I could do this. Rosie can remove the mites with her passive, and then she can self-repair herself, so now we don't have to worry about the mites anymore. This is just a straight fight. Got a Tumblebug and a Bouncer. We definitely get some value out of Rosie's passive on this mission. Getting some more of the, healing adjacent allies. I will deny the Tumblebug the object of its desires. Or better yet, since the Tumblebug is going to die anyway, we can start off the chain reaction. In freeing the Plasmodia, we will do damage to it and light it on fire. And then Rosie has a spare action, which we will use to protect the grid. But now we are starting to hemorrhage, our action advantage. Now we're at a 4v3. The Bouncer, though, is kind enough to not attack the grid. Same with the Rocket Robot. We really have to worry about the Bouncer leader. And the Plasmodia projectile will just hit the shield. And I see that we can kill the Bouncer leader with bump damage. That bypasses its armored trait, and now the robot's friend will do some friendly fire, help clean things up for us. And we can also get that Plasmodia taken care of. Thank you, Bouncer. So our final turn will be a 2v3. We definitely have sufficient actions to handle any problems the game can throw at us. I think we can set things up to give Rosie a little bit of XP. Why not? Again, there would have been plentiful opportunities to get Adam fully leveled up by this juncture, but I think I figured I was doing well enough on cores that I didn't have to sweat too hard. And then at the beginning of this run, we were very poor on pilots. They just kept dropping like flies, and now the game is dumping pilots on us. We get Lily Reed with +2 HP. But I think I elected to keep Rosie. The +2 speed on the first turn is nice, but I kind of liked Rosie's self-healing, or, healing allies thing. I finally invest a core on the charge mech, getting +1 speed, which never goes out of style. And we have our final battle here against the Tumblebug leader on a very interesting map seed. We also get 2 more Tumblebugs, which is bad, and another Bouncer leader, as well as a Plasmodia. I figure this is going to definitely be a big freeze everything on the first turn and then try to kill the Tumblebug leader on the subsequent turns. Very similar to how the Firefly leader fight went on the previous island. So we've got plentiful threats to the grid, but our ice generator will solve all of the problems on this turn, and we can get Henry broken free with the spawn block. I elect to get some insurance on my important, mission objectives. Shielding the corporate tower and double, shield and icing one of the unstable boulders in case things start to get messy. My problem here is that now the charge mech is out of position. Harold does not have any good way to get past this wall of frozen nonsense. So it's going to be up to, really, Rosie and Henry to end the mission. And we've got to waste at least a little bit of time freeing the Tumblebug leader. So it's looking a little bit dicey on the next turn. If Harold cannot get into position, we are looking at basically a 3v2. But at least we are somewhat fortunate. We can get big damage on the Tumblebug leader, but you can see we're going to do damage to the grid. But that is where the upgrade to the shield placement, the shield projector, really comes in handy. We can heal Harold's self-damage and defend both grid pylons. It's interesting to note that Rosie's ability does not heal status effects. So even though I replenished 1 HP to Harold, he's still on fire. Now we just need 1 more point of damage on the Tumblebug leader for mission complete. Which he will do to himself if I leave him alone. But I don't think I'm quite smart enough to realize that. Instead, I elect to do some traditional shielding. Yeah, this mission is a good example of the value of the area upgrade to the shield projector. As we can defend the grid from the Hornet and stop the Tumblebug from blowing up its own boulder. I'd say that shielding is, in general, one of the, rare, pretty consistent counters to Tumblebug nonsense. But that was a ultimately pretty painless final island. Final corporate island, rather. I get the Titanite Blade and Prospero, both of which are decent, but I make an interesting choice here. Rather than buying either of those things that I was probably not going to use and selling them for 1 rep, I elect to overcharge the grid. I basically get 2 reps worth of grid defense, rather than 1 rep just by selling things. And the items available to me are not particularly stellar. You know, Spartan Shield is okay, but we don't have a ranged class weapon or mech for the heavy artillery, and I'd also not a big fan of fracturing shells. But we do have the push beam, and we'll have the spare core to give it the infinite use upgrade. So I decided that the push beam was an upgrade for the attraction pulse. So we will give Rosie and the defense mech a new toy. The nice thing about the push beam is it can push multiple targets. The attraction pulse, can only pull one thing at a time. I maybe could have kept the attraction pulse and then equipped it to the charge mech, paying a power core for the off-class penalty. But I decided not to, because, Harold has his inherent omnidirectional push ability. So I reshuffle the defense mech so that my muscle memory does not betray me. And then I've got 2 cores left, which I upgrade into HP, 1 for the charge mech because it does self-damage. And I think the last one I give to Rosie because without upgrades, she would have less HP than Henry without upgrades. So that turns the defense mech into a decent, shield. And the Volcanic Island has the Scion Tyrant, which we have to worry about doing chip damage. So join me for the final episode with the Zenith Guard as we put these goofy blue mechs to rest. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.